So we're here with the Mechmaxx Stump Grinder, and we were clearing out the property over here for our barn, and we had to cut a bunch of trees out, and we were looking at having to get all the stumps removed. So we were just going to pay somebody to do it, but then I quickly realized how expensive that was. I didn't want to do it. So we were looking around at stump grinders, and I found this one for $1,400, which I thought was an incredibly cheap price, especially because the one from Kubota was $6,000, and there was no chance I was paying that. So I decided to bite the bullet, buy this, and I figured it'd be a good option to be able to review for you guys here on the channel. So I purchased this one, and might as well get right through our relationship real quick. I do not work with Mechmaxx. I did buy this with my own money, and I've had this for a couple months now, and I want to give you guys a quick video going over my thoughts after clearing all the stumps over there and the pros and the cons of this machine. So when we were building the house, we had to remove over 150 trees, and the majority of those we had somebody come in with an excavator and rip out. But a couple of them, I decided to rent a handheld stump grinder, and those things absolutely beat you up because you're the force driving against it. So with the tractor and the stump grinder connected to the back of it, it's really nice because you're not fighting it. You know, it's as easy as slowly moving forward and letting the stump grinder just slowly chew through it. One of the biggest things you need to watch with these things is just taking your time and being patient. If you're not, you're gonna feel it, your tractor's gonna feel it, and it's not going to cut very good. If you're patient and you take the appropriate amount at a time, and it really is different. They say up to 2 inches. I've noticed it depends on the hardness of the wood. If it's been dead for a while, I have some stumps that took me a half hour to cut. It was a brand new cut tree. It was a lot larger, harder wood. And then I had a stump that took me 4 minutes to cut. And it was because it was cut for over a year, so it was more dead. It was a softer wood. So it's really going to depend on the type of wood, and you're gonna know this after you've used this for a while. It's gonna be one of those things that after you run it, you're gonna start to get the feel of it. You're gonna notice when it starts to skip because you're digging too far in. You're gonna see a bunch of B-roll of me here. Some's gonna be regular speed, some's gonna be fast forward, but you're gonna see the machine kind of skip a little bit because I'm trying to take a little bit too much. I'm being impatient. So with this, the biggest thing is just being patient with it, but it just takes a lot of the effort out of it, especially if you're used to like the handheld. So let's go over shipment and install real quick. So the shipment of this came in really nicely. It came in a big metal crate, and the UPS driver, FedEx, one of them came back here. They backed the truck in, they dropped it for me, they delivered it right to where I wanted. Then I used the forks of the tractor and finished the location where I wanted it. But shipment was nice, the box looked great, and I was impressed with the big metal cage that it came in. Install was, it took a while. There was 3 of us, my grandpa, my brother who's filming right now, and me. And it wasn't necessarily hard. It was just more time consuming and making sure that you understood everything. One of the big annoyances that is kind of a pro but also a con is the fact that it's an adjustable PTO shaft. So your shaft here is adjustable for different sizes. I have an L3902, and with the adjustment of the PTO shaft, if you have a smaller tractor, you have to make a cut to that. So that is an incredibly annoying thing that luckily we didn't have to do. That saved us a lot of times. But there's just a couple things in the install process that are really tedious. It just takes time, not hard, but just making sure you have the right tools. And there's a ton of videos here on YouTube that do a really good job of explaining it. I just watched the videos. It took us a couple hours and we had it all working. I, for some reason, thought that I'd be able to just throw this thing on the back of my tractor and just start cutting. I was sadly mistaken, but once we got it put together, it's been working really well since. So real quick, a couple things that come with this. One of the really nice ones is a chainsaw holder. I like it when companies throw things on that make sense. It doesn't go out of the way. It's easy. You have a little mat here to lay it on. And of course, I lost the actual pin I was cutting, so make sure you're tightening those. It fell off somewhere over there. So let's get another one. But it's nice to be able to throw your chainsaw there because with these tractors, if you're familiar with them, there's nowhere to put anything. So it's nice to be able to throw that on there. Then you've got this little storage container here that I have yet to finish actually installing, but that comes with all the tools that you need on this to be able to tighten up your teeth or anything you need to work on. It actually comes with them, and then you can put them right there, which is cool. You have a deflector plate right here that just deflects all of your stump, and that is one of the downsides of the fact that this thing is going to send rocks and dirt and chunks everywhere pretty far away. So you need to really be careful where you're angling this. If you're cutting near your house or anything, just make sure you're pointing this in the direction that's away from your house, or you're going to put holes in your siding or a hole in your window, your car or whatnot. Just make sure you're careful where you're pointing this thing. Always going right to left when you're cutting, or it's going to skip a lot. So make sure you're doing the correct direction. But the teeth wise and everything, over the last, I think we've cut 12 stumps over there, then a handful throughout the woods and a bunch of roots. So we've probably close to 20 wood items, and the teeth have all held up really well. I haven't had to tighten anything. I don't notice any chips or wear of anything that's terrible. And honestly, if I'm able to cut that many, it's easily paid for itself in that sense. So I showed you kind of around the machine. Let's just talk about the cutting itself. That's what everyone wants to know. And the biggest thing with this, and what I was really curious about, is can a $1,400 more affordable budget option be a good option for that? For those of you that don't need to do this professionally, you don't need to go out and stump grind 50 to 100 stumps, which I'm gonna probably get close to that eventually. And in my experience with the ones that I've cut, I'm incredibly happy with this thing. It's cut a lot faster than I expected, which is nice, and it has held together a lot nicer. I figured it would start to wear, or maybe there'd be something that I noticed, like strength-wise welds or something that wouldn't be as nice, but nothing that I have noticed. That this thing is not extremely heavy-duty machine, especially for that price. $1,400, I was incredibly happy with it, and it came with some extra teeth with that as well. And I know they run some deals that you guys can probably look at, and I think there's some other guys on YouTube that have discount codes that you guys can use, but there's a lot of options to be able to save some money. But the cutting-wise, I'm incredibly happy with it. I'm gonna show you guys a bunch of B-roll, some real speed, some speed up, just because I don't have the time to be able to put all that in there, but I wanna show you guys some B-roll of the stumps being ground. That's really where a lot of you are gonna have that question. And you know, this little stuff here is an addition, and it's kind of cool to have, but what you really wanna know is how well it cuts. So you'll be able to see a lot of that in this video. Now, when it comes to cutting and the adjustment and everything, there are different styles that they have. There's like a hydraulic one that moves side to side. That one's obviously gonna be a lot better, but it's more expensive. With this one, you just have to lift it up, back up, drop it down, drive forward, and just do that over and over and over. It can be difficult when you get to different terrain. So my very first stump was in flat terrain. I cut it and I was shocked. I was like, that was insanely easy. And then I started moving over to this side, and where it's kind of at an angle, more at a hill, nothing is level over there, because you're working with ground that's at an incline. You're gonna notice that you're gonna have to make the adjustment while you're cutting, or as you're going up a hill or down a hill, the blade is going to cut across that stump at a different angle, and it's either gonna bog it down because you've cut too much, or you're just gonna miss the stump completely. So you're gonna have to adjust it, the height up and down as you're doing it. Another downside to this is the fact that you don't have a swivel seat here. So when you're working this, you just have to turn around the entire time. And when you're doing that for a half hour straight, depending on the stumps, or if you're cutting stumps for 2 hours, it does get uncomfortable. Worst thing in the world? No, you can easily get around it. But they do offer cameras. You can buy a Bluetooth camera and throw it on there. That would help a little bit if you wanted to, and you didn't want to have to turn around every single time. But that was something that I wanted to at least mention to you guys, so you're aware that you will have to turn around in your seat the entire time to watch it. And there's not a ton of visual. You're kind of looking through a handful of things to see what you're cutting, and then you're just going to want to use a leaf blower to clean off that stump, because this just chucks everything. And it has like 6 inches in depth, so you can go 6 inches below the ground, and once you get into the dirt, it just chucks dirt everywhere, so it's really hard to see what you're working on. So you'll see a lot of the video I'm using a leaf blower to clear things up. So 2 other things I just want to mention to you guys is the Xerx on here to be able to grease this. It says to grease it every single time that you use it. I definitely would recommend doing that, especially it being more on the budget end. You want to make sure this thing's greased properly, that you're not giving it any reason not to work properly. But the Xerx are kind of an annoying spot. So, I mean, when are Xerx in a fantastic spot? Not usually, other than the top of the hydraulic parts, is about the only spot that are actually somewhat fun to do that. There's these little pins right here that you can remove and take off and on depending what you want. What that allows this thing to do is pivot back and forth a little bit, and that helps with if you're being impatient and you take too much of that stump, it just moves that grinder away, so it's not taking as much pressure and causing any kind of damage. I leave them on some of the time. It really depends what I'm doing. So the first 10 stumps that I did, I took them off, but then I started noticing that it was just pivoting too much, and I wasn't able to grind some of them, especially at the angles that I wanted to do. So I put them back in. I've been cutting it that way. I recommend taking them off when you first get it. That way it gives you that play. That's why you build some confidence and get a little experience with this. And then once you get that, put them back in if you want to. And I don't see any problem with that as long as you're just being patient. But that's gonna be a personal preference on what you want to do. Another downside that I noticed that isn't really that big of a deal, but another thing I just wanted to mention is there's little drop braces here that allow you to be able to put this down on something and not put all the pressure on all your other implement parts. What I noticed though is I wish they were a little bit longer, because this blade still lays on the ground depending on the angle. Now sometimes if you're at a perfect angle, it's not a problem. What I do is I put a 2x4 under here and I place it down, and that gives me the gap that I want. But I would have liked to see them add like, I don't know, like a half an inch more, like just enough to be able to have a space where this isn't touching the ground, because I don't want this to touch the ground. That's kind of the purpose of these. So I noticed that. I don't know if that's everyone. Maybe it's a QC thing, or maybe they cut mine a little short. I don't know. But it was something I wanted to at least mention to you guys. I thought was a little odd that it's not just a little bit higher to keep that blade from touching the ground. All right, so now I gave you guys all the pros, the cons, my thoughts after using this thing for the last couple months. Is this something that you should buy, and is it worth your money? I think if you are somebody that has 2 to 5 stumps on your property and you don't have a lot of trees, you're not in the woods, you think that's probably the only stumps you're going to cut in the next 10, 20 years, I don't see the purpose of buying a stump grinder. It's just a large implement that's going to get in your way, that you're going to have to store, that you're going to have to put somewhere, and it is a lot of money. $1,400 is a ton of money. And you can get away cheaper by just having someone come out and remove those stumps for you. If you're somebody on the opposite of that, where you have 10 stumps, 20 stumps, or you live on a property like this where you have a lot of woods and you're cutting trees a lot, we have a wood burner, so we cut down a decent amount, then this is going to pay for itself tenfold. I've only had this for a couple months, and the amount of stumps that I've cut, and the more that I use this, the more I just want to find stumps to cut down. We have 3 more dead trees that when we built our house, I don't know why, a bunch of trees just died. We tried to like keep specific trees, but I don't know if all the sunlight that came in now killed a couple of them, but we had to cut a couple down, so I have a handful of stumps in the yard I still got to do. I got 1 more over by the barn area we got to take out, but it is going to continue to pay for itself the longer that I have it, and so far it's already paid for itself. So if it breaks today, I will be sad. It's already paid for itself, at least in the sense that I didn't have to pay somebody to come out and remove all 20 of those stumps. But I'm hoping it continues to work good. I've got some stumps at my brother's house, my grandpa's house, my dad's house. That is probably another downside, is the fact that the second you get this, every one of your neighbors is going to contact you because now they've suddenly realized they have a million stumps they want to remove as well, which it's a good thing to be able to help out your family. But all in all, very happy with the machine. I was pretty skeptical at first. I was really nervous about buying it. And I'm glad I have the YouTube channel here, because one of the reasons I did, because I wanted to do a review on it. I've seen some other implements on their website that I might be trying as well, just because I like their pricing. They have really good pricing, and I have a good experience with this one so far. But hope this video is able to help you guys. That's always my goal, is to help you guys make a better purchase decision, to save your money, to be confident in making that purchase, or be like, maybe this isn't exactly what I want, and maybe you should hold off and spend your money somewhere else, or put that money towards a nicer one if that's what you're looking for. If you guys are looking to help out the channel and things I do here, check out Howitzer Clothing. This is actually my t-shirt, and they're a big sponsor of this channel. I appreciate them. You can use code TA15. That'll save you 15% on your order, and they donate 5% of proceeds to charity, and they donated over $2 million, which is really, really cool. So check them out, link in the description. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the content. I would appreciate if you guys like, share, subscribe, comment if you enjoy what you're seeing here and want to see more. I really enjoying this new channel. This is the second channel. I have my primary channel that I do weekly as well, but I'm happy to have you guys here, and I appreciate you all.